All right, let's talk about the three things you need to know before you start selling. So, knowing these three specific things before you sell will make or break your sales efforts. If you don't know these things, sales is always going to be a struggle. So, you need to know what you're selling, specifically the benefits you provide to customers, who you sell to, and why they buy. So, these are not simple questions with simple answers. I know there's the temptation to look at those and be like, oh, I totally know that. Come on, Brandon, those are easy. When you really start to think about it, when you really bring your sales process into play and you really start talking to buyers, it can become illuminated very quickly that you didn't actually figure these out. So spending some time here is important. So understanding these three facts is going to make selling far easier for you. So when you don't do these things, you're always going to struggle in sales. Not understanding what you sell is going to result in boring pitches and feature dumping, and you're just going to end up annoying a bunch of people. Not understanding who you sell to is going to result in a ton of wasted time trying to sell to the wrong people. And not understanding why people buy is going to result in long sales cycles and low close rates because you're never going to be able to connect with the reason that people actually should transact with you. So here's what we need to do. You need to answer these questions. What are you selling? And so specifically, what benefits does this provide? What problems does this solve? Don't just talk about features here. Talk about the producing a result for your buyer. Right? This is the classic example of, people don't buy a 2-inch drill, they buy a 2-inch hole in their wall. So don't talk about the features of your drill or what makes it strong or energy efficient or the battery lasts really long or it charges quickly. Talk about, hey, this puts a really clean, easy hole in your wall super fast, easier than anything else. Talk about the result you produce. That's what you're selling. You're selling what's really important to the buyer, the benefits that they derive from your product, not just the features. Next is who do you sell to? So don't be generic here. Be really highly specific. Who's your ideal customer profile? What groups of people will best adopt and benefit from your company's offerings? For example, let's say you sell something to accountants. Not every accountant is going to be the best fit for what you sell to. Sure, they may all be able to use it, but there's going to be a specific subset of people who are going to be best fitted for your offering. So figure out specifically who that is. Is it solopreneur accountants? Is it older accountants at larger firms? Is it accountants with less than 10 years experience? Figure out very specifically who you sell to and who would benefit from what you do the most and focus on selling to them. And then why do those people buy? So now you know who you sell to, you can get into the very specific reasons why they buy. And so I'm not just talking about the benefits here, I'm talking about the ideal future state you can help them enter into. So this is where we connect the what we sell with the who we sell to produce our why. When your specific buyer gets the benefits you produce by them accepting your offerings, what new ideal future state do you let them enter into that was otherwise unavailable to them? What changes about their life as a result? So I've made a quick template for you to answer these questions so that you don't skip it and it's really obvious. So in the resources folder, you can come to this 1.13 things to know before selling, and I've listed out these questions. So what are you selling? What benefits does this provide? What problems does this solve? Don't just talk about features, talk about producing a result for your buyer, and then just highlight and replace this answer here text and answer what are you selling, and then do the same for the who you sell to and why do they buy. And then you can actually take this and turn this into a marketing statement. So, your company name helps the who you sell to achieve the why they buy with what you're selling. And that can work as a really nice, clean marketing statement and elevator pitch for you. So once you've answered these questions, selling's going to get a lot simpler. You're not going to be scratching your head on what to say to people. You're going to know what's important to them. Now you know that those three questions need to be answered before you start selling, and then you can also create a simple marketing statement or elevator pitch with this information. We help who you sell to, why they buy, with what you sell.
Okay, 4 years later, I think that this lesson is still massively important, and it's something that I even still skip. So I'll give two stories. So I actually paused working on Liftoff for a couple years when I went to join a startup in the ad tech space, and we knew what we were selling. We understood the benefits we were providing, but we weren't exactly sure who we should sell to. So we got bad advice from investors that we should go sell to e-commerce. We pivoted under the assumption, because the founder was an agency kind of guy, he had worked in agencies before, that we should sell to agencies. But really, but that didn't work either, because we had this problem of the people who felt the pain point weren't our decision makers, and there was a disconnect there between the decision maker priorities, the people that controlled the budget, and what our like hands-on keyboard people actually cared about. And even though we could speak to a high level result, it wasn't compelling enough to open up budget. And where we probably should have gone is to managed service providers, to people who ran ads and people who needed our solution to prove that the ads that they were selling were actually valuable, right? So these were probably like third-party sellers of ad inventory, 2 brands and 2 agencies, right? Those people would have found our solution absolutely like live or die. It really would have made them more money. Whereas for agencies and brands, it was kind of a nice to have. So really think through, of all the people you could sell your product to, who are the ones that would get the most value and who are the people that couldn't live without this, right? A framework that you've probably heard before that I think is really useful is vitamin or painkiller. I talk about this a lot as a hair on fire problem, right? You could solve a problem for a lot of people, but for whom is this a hair on fire problem? Or go try to sell to them. And the longer you stay in trying to sell this to the wrong market, you're going to feel stuck. And you're not going to be able to unlock that last answer of like, what's the transformational thing? And you can answer these questions, and at your first pass, you'll probably be wrong. So this is something you might want to come back to a couple times, or maybe every 3 to 6 months, and check again. And like, hey, if sales process isn't working, if I'm not selling as much, if my marketing feels dry and we're not seeing the results we want, there's a good chance these elements are just off and we're selling the wrong thing to the wrong people, and valuable as we can possibly make it. Approach this as strong beliefs, loosely held, right? Be very decisive about these things, have strong opinions, but then revisit them and be very open to changing these things. And then finally here, if there's anything else you want help with, if you have additional questions, come to revliftoff.com to the How I Can Help section. You'll see the free Startup Sales Accelerator course that you're listening to right now on Spotify or YouTube. I've built a number of workbooks to help make implementation really easy on everything I talk about in the course. Those are just $35. Or if you want to talk to me, you have any more specific questions, things that you think are more of a one-off, or you want to get really specific about your situation or the things that you've tried, you can book a one-on-one session with me for 30 or 60 minutes. I'll be happy to help you out, try to figure out whatever problems you feel stuck on. And it is always my goal to make sure that that is absolutely as valuable as we can possibly make it.